let people around you evolve and like create things so that not only it's not just for you, but like, you know, you got you guys who work for you who want to like, maybe they want to go work for somebody else, but why not? You could work for us because we're a great company and we're going to do something different. We're always going to push the boundaries and the limits and do whatever we can. So that I'm very passionate about doing. So therefore, you then realize that your passion supersedes your actual thought process of how you're going to do things, right? And like, really, did you ever really think it out when you're opening 3 different restaurants, 3 different concepts? It's kind of stupid.
It's waiting on fries. That you don't get it? You don't. What do you mean you don't get waiting on fries?
Hopefully the customer never hears waiting on fries, but all this time on the entree and it's perfectly executed and then you're like,
ready to go.
I forgot to fire the fries.
I just always use that when I forgot to put somebody's order in and I was like, hey, I'm just waiting on the fries. It's going to be 2 more minutes. Realistically, I come back 10 minutes with the food.
Exactly. They just know that their food's not there and the server said they're still waiting on fries.
I guess we're just waiting on fries.
Today's show is brought to you by Diner Brew Co., 40 South Division Street, New Rochelle.
Into supporting the local scene of beers and ciders, Diner Brew Co. uses only New York State ingredients, manufactured in Mount Vernon, and sold at the tap room in New Rochelle. Ran by owner-operators, Diner Brew Co. is a completely independent brewery. Porters, sours, browns, champagne ciders, and lagers, Diner Brew Co. is as good as it gets.
You know what they don't have at Diner Brew Co.?
What?
Water fountains.
There's probably a good reason they don't have water fountains at Diner Brew Co.
But if you ask for a glass of water, they'd be more than happy to get you one.
Absolutely. I definitely have gotten a glass of water at Diner Brew Co.
You know, this comes from a stint of something I posted on the Waiting on Fries podcast Instagram account, which you can find literally at that. Somebody posted a great photo of a water fountain in the center of this bar, and it had cups near it as well, so people could kind of help themselves to water. And Justin and Anum really got at me.
All right, wait. First of all, I didn't get at you. I stayed out of that conversation quite literally on purpose.
You passively aggressively liked 2 of Justin's comments that he shot at me.
Because when I read those comments, they struck a chord with me, and I felt like liking them.
I think he liked one of yours, too, when you called me pretentious.
No, he hit it by accident. He unliked it after.
I like it.
But yes, a very pretentious comment. The thing is, you know, in a restaurant or something that's more restaurant focused, it's very easy to give somebody a glass of water. But in nightlife, come 1 a.m., 2 a.m., almost 4 a.m., depending on where you're located, it's like a horde of zombies asking for waters by the bar, and everyone has to wait, as opposed to them just being like, hey, I know where there's a water fountain, I could get my own water.
So you're saying maybe people are too busy to get you a glass of water, or you're saying people shouldn't be asking for a glass of water?
I'm saying I don't mind. I'll get you the glass of water. But if you want to get it for yourself, like, it's right there in the center of this beautifully located, surrounded by, I think there was like fake trees around it, water fountain. Like, you could just go right there and also get that.
Yeah, see, that just came off lazy to me when I saw the post.
It does seem kind of lazy.
You know, it's like the bartenders can't be bothered with getting you a glass of water. So it's like, you want a glass of water? There's a water fountain over there. And you turn around and there's like 4 people standing around it, maybe someone's making out next to it, and you're like, oh, I got to ask the couple having PDA over there to move so I can quench my thirst. You're too busy to just give me a glass of water.
It feels like a Larry David. I've been giving you money all night long, and I just need a glass of water, and you can't even give me a glass of water. You're lazy.
And also, I would have no interest in drinking out of that water fountain that's in the middle of a bar.
You're also germaphobe, though, a little bit as well.
No,
I invite the germs.
Dude, you're saying it's at 4 a.m. and everybody's zombies, and now the water fountain is in the center of zombies.
Not necessarily sure that's the type of water fountain I want to drink from.
You know, I'd rather have a glass of water.
All right, listen, we could go to the bar.
That the friendly bartender would pour for me.
We could go to the bar. It's okay. We got a great show today. You know, we've got Chef David DiBari coming in here in a little bit, and we're going to have a conversation about, you know, what he started, what's he got, 3 restaurants now, something?
I believe it's 4. So he's got the Parlor, the Cookery, and Eugene's Diner.
We'll get into that as well as time comes.
And we also have the donation food truck.
He does have the donation food truck. We've set up next to them at Best of Westchester.
Yeah.
Which is a nice play on words as well. We've got a real interesting voicemail coming to you as well, where we're going to solve a very unique and interesting problem, which you'll see towards the end of the show. And of course, the rest of the interview that we have with Dave will be put up in a couple days as well, so you can get the full hour-long talk.
For sure. We're going to be a little ahead of schedule, too, because we're going to touch on Restaurant Week that's coming up in March. So
the Hudson Valley Restaurant.
The Hudson Valley Restaurant Week. I'm sorry. We're going to speak about the current Restaurant Week that's happening in New York City. and then reference the Hudson Valley restaurant coming up in March.
Well, explain to them quick too what Restaurant Week is in
So-
case in your town you don't have Restaurant Week.
Right now, in New York City, you can go to a whole slew of restaurants and get either a 2-course or a 2-course lunch or a 3-course dinner for quite the deal. I believe the lunch is $26 at most restaurants, while the dinner is $42 for 3 courses at most of the restaurants.
And these are like restaurants where typically somebody wouldn't walk into or something, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a
higher
whole
price
bunch of
point.
restaurants you could choose from. So it's a good time to try something that may be a little bit out of your comfort zone or out of your normal choice for a restaurant.
Good time for me to check out Manhattan. It sounds like.
Excellent time for you to check out Manhattan.
Is Manhattan?
We're doing lunch right now.
Oh,
for
nice.
Restaurant
Just
Week.
lunch.
Just lunch,
Not dinner.
not dinner.
Okay. How long does a city want to go to?
February 9th.
So
so
you got some time.
You got about a week.
You got about a week to go.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we have David DiBari in the studio today. And those that don't know who Dave is, this guy has his hands in a handful of different pots, if you will. Right, Nooms?
Yeah, so he is the chef owner of the Cookery, the Parlor, and Eugene's Diner. I got to eat at Eugene's Diner not too long ago, and it was an awesome experience. Really enjoyed it.
And donation.
And donation, yeah. Well, so I've gotten to eat at donation because you guys set up next to us at the Best of Westchester.
Wait. So you're telling me nothing sucked?
Literally, at
There had to
Eugene's.
be one thing that sucked.
At Eugene's, no. I was thoroughly impressed from start to finish. So
I
got
don't believe you.
We got the bread and butter with like the ramp butter or something like that. I think I got the pancakes. My girl got the burger, I want to say. And then we got some stuff to take home for dessert.
That's fantastic.
Dude, it was
thank you.
awesome. It was really awesome. I definitely enjoyed. Actually, so I also went to the Cookery, the stick of butter pie.
Oh, that's deep.
One
That's
of my
really-
one of my
yeah.
favorite desserts.
That's a
for
classic.
Sure.
Oh, thank you, man.
Absolutely.
All right. It's off for a good start.
Yeah, tell us your story.
Yeah.
Give
So
us
how
a
did you
background.
get started with so many different concepts?
Because I'm stupid, first and foremost. Look, you're passionate about where I come from. I'm passionate about just about everything that has to do with my kitchens and my restaurant and my business, and it's hard to like control the different things that you want to do.
Right.
And sometimes you just can't do it in one spot. So like you kind of like, I don't want to say you get bored because I'll never be bored at any one of my places.
I know what you mean, though.
It you want to do something different. You gotta
It becomes time to try something
it's
new.
time to evolve, time to let people around you evolve and like create things so that not only it's not just for you, but like, you guys who work for you who want to like, maybe they want to go work for somebody else, but why not? You could work for us because we're a great company
do something
and
different
we're going
now.
to do something different. We're always going to push the boundaries and the limits and do whatever we can. So that I'm very passionate about doing. So therefore, you then realize that your passion supersedes your actual thought process of how you're going to do things,
Yeah.
right? And like, really, did you ever really think it out when you're opening 3 different restaurants, 3 different concepts? It's kind of stupid, but
It's adventurous.
yeah,
I
right.
wouldn't
So
go stupid.
regardless of any of that, we're in it now. So now what the fuck do we do?
Right.
Right. So, yeah, I guess that's a good reason.
Opening so quick together with things is pretty impressive, right?
Yeah.
Talk about the Cookery opening in 2009. Then you go into the Parlor 2013, and here we have Eugene's and donation in between all that in 2011 too. Is like, it's crazy to see work ethic where rapid expansion kind of just happens. It's like you weren't sitting on your hands whatsoever. You were just planning the next steps. It seems like the whole while.
Yeah. I want to say it worked that way, but it kind of never did. I kind of do things sometimes without a reason. I mean, I know what I want to go do, but like sometimes if you're out there and you have something in the back of your head, it's like you're driving around and you see this space and the space is that's where that's going to go, and then you kind of like, that starts to build the energy of making that project work. But yeah, like here's a good story actually. So like when I opened the Cookery, I really wanted a Neapolitan wood-fired pizza oven in it. All right, and so I'm a stupid kid who's opening his first restaurant. Doesn't like, I don't even know what I'm like. Honestly, had no idea what we were doing, and but we soon realized that wasn't going to happen with whatever small money we had in our pocket to make this thing happen, and the size of the restaurant, and the fact that we never built anything out before. So like, I was dreaming that oven was going to be in there, and then, it didn't. So in the back of my head, like I did need to have that. 2 years into the cookery, I had this idea. I met this guy who's building these ovens, and we decided like it's time to have a food truck, and for a reason also because the cookery we were so small we couldn't do a lot of catering, and I didn't really like to do a lot of catering at that point. It wasn't my thing. Like I don't like fucking buffets. I'm like a hot fired up chef, blah, blah, blah. I don't do that shit. You don't say that. They don't realize that that's where the money is. But yeah, after that, it takes me a while. But so we said let's make our catering this wood fired mobile pizza oven that then we can kind of become more part of the community with farmers markets and selling to people and going to farmers markets and festivals and just being almost sort of a great thing to almost a donation. You know what I mean? That's DOUGH Nation, and generally we like to donate, and we actually donate 2% of all of our profits to a different donation every year.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Jay was talking about that. I didn't know that. That's where the name came from.
Anyway, so it's just a great thing to have and a great thing to cater with. So, yeah, I got my pizza oven and it was mobile. And
How often is that thing out on the go actually handling catering?
During the busy season, which is basically the summer all the way through fall, we could have 2 or 3 parties on a Saturday, a farmer's market on a Saturday, a farmer's market on Sunday morning, and then another 2 or 3 parties. And it's all really about the weekends, and then we're off doing something else, 1 or 2 pops during the week. But yeah, it keeps us busy.
Sure.
Yeah.
And food trucks are all over the place at the end of the day.
Yeah.
What's the food truck gathering that happens down in Queens and Brooklyn?
Not Smorgasburg.
Smorgasburg,
Yeah.
thank you. Is that something that you ever look to even take part in or do some type of special event just for fun?
No, those things are, I feel like we have such like a good presence where we are and we enjoy doing that, like just kind of moving around and doing a farmer's market and kind of picking, choosing where we want to be and sort of being part of the community. And you really do we get a lot of great business and a lot of repeat business, and it feels good. Like I don't actually feel the need to go worry about like Brooklyn or New York City or.
Sure, we're building Westchester.
Yeah, exactly. As well, are you guys?
Also, too, in the talks of while we're on subject of the food trucks, how much of I guess a bitch is it to get the permits required to set up in all these various locations? Is that
I didn't find it to be that problematic or hard.
Is that as simple as filling out the application and?
Yes. I mean, it's really basic stuff. I mean, you're setting up a small business. There's tax. There's everything else, and see, every jurisdiction is different. Like you may show up to an event, but you're gonna have to go through the sort of the rules and regulations of where you are, and you'll have to probably file a separate permit for them. There's little things, insurance, all that stuff. It's a lot of back end shit, but it wasn't that difficult to get permits at all. Health department, standard stuff.
Yeah. Now opening the cookery first.
Mind you, that was like 7 years ago. So.
Yeah, sure. Going into the cookery first after you left under Mario Patali, right?
Yeah.
Was that a smooth transition right into the cookery, or was there some time in between that when you were kind of figuring out the business plan and where you're going?
Long after Mario working for the Babo, that was quite a ways back. Since then I had actually was the chef of Zupa in Yonkers for a while, 5 years before I actually opened the cookery. So that's what I was doing. I was quite a bit of time, probably a good almost, let's say 5, 6, 7 years at that point.
And then going into the cookery, you must have had this plan for maybe a year or so at least, developing all the ideas and imagery.
Honestly, but see, it's funny. Like I always say, like it's really hard to plan shit because shit never goes as planned, And then you just gotta do it, and then you gotta do it better, right? Yeah. Like so, I remember sitting, I would come home from Zupa late at night, and I would bang out this business plan. I'd work on it every night, for a year. To your point, and it was grand. It was big. It was the investor kind of place. It was it had everything that I wanted to have, and right on paper. And then you're looking at space, and you're actually getting to understand like what rents are and how things work, and So I'm looking for space, and I finally realized, well, there's nothing that I can afford. So, we sort of ended, real estate agent showed us a place in Dobbs Ferry, this little spot. It was Austin Steakhouse, I think, and it was just like this tiny little thing, and didn't cost what to us was a shit ton of money, by the way, but it really wasn't anything in the restaurant world. So we just figured this is the place that we can make work. But it was never going to be what I had on paper. Not even close. It couldn't even come close to it. So that's why we ended up taking the space. And also, a very small story. A very good friend of mine. You guys know Peter Kelly, right? Mm-hmm. So he's always the last word on shit I do, because he's like, very close and supportive of me. So, actually my mother said, why don't you go ask Peter what he thinks? That's how it works.
He's the consigliere.
Yeah. So, he's like, I know the space. He's like, do it. It's you. It's what you need to do what you do. And I was like, okay. So,
So Peter said it was cool.
Peter said it was cool. The cookery.
Signed on the dotted line there.
That's funny. We have such similar stories you hear from like person to person. It's kind of the same thing. Like you have a crazy idea, and then reality sets in, and that's the idea.
We were talking last week about budgets and whatnot, and Justin is redoing the smokehouse in New Rochelle and moving across the street into a larger facility here.
Nice.
And we were talking about the budgets, and exactly same thing. Grand scheme plans, and then of course reality check.
Yeah, when we opened New Rochelle in 2007. We thought we had all this money, just like you said. We're like, oh, this is more money than I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. And it quickly, it was not a lot of money. And all the ideas that we had changed. And now we're trying to build towards, a different direction now. But
how much, 2009's after financial crisis here too. That was kind of a good time to pick up a lease on a restaurant, I feel like, no?
Yeah, it was. And not that I really had any idea.
Sure.
That wasn't what I was thinking, right?
Yeah.
In fact, actually, to be quite honest, another story is that my attorney at the time, who was representing me on everything with the restaurant and whatnot, he begged me. He begged me not to do it.
Really?
Like he was trying to really. He was like, this is not the time to do this. I'm telling you, you're first. No, don't. And I was stubborn, but it paid off.
Nice.
Yeah.
How much has the cookery evolved, I guess, over time since you originally opened it with that first concept that you kind of actually brought to the table to, what we see in there now?
Yeah, if you think about like what your first menu looked like compared to where it is now.
Shit. We evolved so much, and I feel like we've done so many different things. But it's not too far off. It'll never be far off in terms of what's in the soul and what people will know they're going to get there. So that's the easy part, right? But I think, as a chef, you change and evolve and influence like all the time too. So like those kind of show up, in stages of the restaurant. And I think that's kind of fun, like I remember there's a time when I was super into like Fergus Henderson and I still am. And to think that like that restaurant St. John is like that inspired me so much. It's soulful British food, and when I was so into him, that's when the cookery started to go from not just a soulful Italian, but just bringing in a little bit of something from everywhere else that really like fell into our basket, which was always sort of pushing the boundaries a little bit and doing the things that maybe some people were afraid to do, like, and that's what Fergus was doing, right? So we just kind of like built on that pretty hard, and then and I think now it's changing into something that's a little bit lighter, a little bit fresher, but still with the same soul, and but never like really compromising in our integrity whatsoever. Like it's always going to be deep. Like that's what you're going for. It's deep, but we're just kind of like nodding to the things that even now as a human that we're going through, whether it be health reasons or sort of like just changing as an adult, as a person. Right. I think it just finds its way into the cuisine and the brand, So
I like
that's
that.
right.
We do see, I think, a lot of these polls, and like you just said, with health in general, I can't walk up to a handful of food trucks because it's fried everything. And I'm like, where's the health conscious side of this? Like, I just shed 30 pounds. I'm trying to keep this down, right? Like, I did just order a zucchini salad yesterday, which I would never do in a million years.
How was it?
it was fantastic. Oh, beautiful vinaigrette in this thing. I felt super healthy. I almost wanted to go outside and do 50 push-ups real quick. But
a pretty good
these
setup.
are things that we see that start reflecting in menus where, like, yeah, it's not just all overweight things. Now, do you see this jumping into the parlor where it is really more pizza dough heavy and whatnot? And are people asking for salad pies? Like,
here's what I'll tell you. I think each restaurant, everything is affected by that, and because it's a really, really profoundly huge part of us as a society right now, and I understand a lot of it. I'm really close to it. I get it, and there's a lot of research that says this is all 8 of these fucking specialty diets, these new diets work. I get it, but then like they also don't, and it we'll never ever know, right? So that's the way I look at it, and but people are going, and they're you don't know if you're serving keto, or you don't know if you're certain celiac or gluten free or whatever. I think people expect nowadays, because of technology and having more information, and it's so rapid, and to get things that are for whatever they're into at that time, and I don't because there's so many, and I understand that, and we always go above and beyond where we can, but it's crazy because we're on our toes about it. We're thinking about it. We have to, right? Like it's not a bad thing, but it's like we're working harder at that right now, and it's not easy.
It's tough too because it changes so quickly.
Yeah.
Like from one year to the next year, it's keto right now is like a thing, and then it could change.
Yeah.
And you fight the urge to say like, no, this is who we are. I'm sticking to.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this. You'll come around and come back, but then at the same time,
You got to have an option for everybody, otherwise you're just alienating.
But
alienating people.
I also think we offer, when I look at my menus, I feel like when you actually break down dishes like we do, those things are offered. They're offered. Like sometimes it just takes the waiter to steer them in the right direction, or build it a little differently if they can, and because not everything has everything, and there's things that we can do, and I think that's also part of dealing with that. I'm just not a big fan of I don't think I could probably go vegan tomorrow. I mean, it sounds crazy because I do love meat, and I know you do, and maybe I couldn't, but I like vegetables.
Yeah.
Like vegetables are so fucking good. Like a wood roasted vegetable. The oven at the parlor is like, it's like candy. It's like amazing. It's like it's so much depth, and it's like, so eat a fucking vegetable. Eat a fucking vegetable. It's good. It's delicious.
I feel that. I gotta be honest.
Why do I have to turn it into something else? Like take the fucking cauliflower, turn it into a pizza crust. Fucking, it's like, eat the fucking vegetable. It's so good.
The time since I started Manhattan over a little over a year and a half now, I've started to appreciate vegetables a lot more, coming from working at Smokehouse where we were just dealing with smoked meats and other barbecue stuff and burgers and wings and whatnot. But like the simple treatment of a mushroom when you treat it properly, it's fucking delicious. You don't need meat when you have a plate full of mushrooms.
Yeah, oh my God.
Yeah, it's nice.
Listen, I'm down on that. We don't need meat.
Sometimes you don't. Some of the so if a vegetarian comes in or a vegan comes in, we'll often just make a plate of food just for them, like Jorge was talking about. We accommodate people like that. But some of the veg plates we put out there look nicer than the steak plates. I got to be honest. You just take a whole bunch of vegetables, treat them nicely, and that's it. That's all you need.
But can I ask a question? Have you feel the effect of this whole beef in the rainforests and the have you felt a hit of that? Have you felt people not come?
Well, like you said, it's on our mind.
Yeah.
I think our base, we've kind of be able to create like our brand a little bit, so the people are looking for that, or people that are coming in. But it's definitely on our mind. Maybe not so much the plant-based stuff, because we're curious how do we stay barbecue, like true barbecue, and then also have like this whole plant-based idea. Maybe we have to figure out how to make it still a smokehouse, still us when we do it. But we have like adjusted to start doing the bowls. Like we do like a barbecue bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of take all of the excess stuff out of the barbecue and just get down to the protein, the vegetable, and
That's
like
great.
and like the starch,
Yeah.
and put it together. And it hits at lunch, especially when people are trying to just get in and get out and have something light. It's hard with barbecue because it's so heavy.
Yeah, it is what it is.
You can't.
It's
at
so
lunch,
delicious.
I'm gonna have a full rack of ribs and then
Yeah.
go back to work.
That's
It's
a solid
probably not
lunch.
gonna happen.
solid
But you know,
lunch.
we have to adapt a little bit like that. So
What's the average time that somebody has during a lunch break here? Is it an hour or so? By the time you
30
actually
minutes.
get to the place, you've got a half hour left. So yeah, when you started posting these bowls up, I said, "Oh, it's a great get in, get out." And for you, that's important to get more people in the door, right?
yeah, it's just simplifying it down to like the raw ingredients and trying to present it that way.
Now
I like a barbecue bowl. I kind of want a barbecue bowl.
let's go. We'll leave the meat out. So, right, 2009 is the cookery. We just talked about that a little bit. Rustic Italian food there, and then you said, no. I love pies though. Let's get the parlor going. Right, 2013.
Yep.
Donation somewhere in between there though. So you
Right.
were
So
doing the
so
catering.
it was cookery, then donation. So we were, operating out of there, and that was our, and then there was, I think, because of the success of that, and that we really got great, amazing feedback. We said there was a space available in Dobbs, and it was a small space, and I kind of looked at it, and it kind of felt like it should be that little pizza spot, and so we decided to, put the same oven, same style right into that location,
And they are very much brother-sister restaurants from that kind of almost gritty aesthetic to some extent.
yeah, totally. The parlor's like, I always say it's like Neapolitan pizza in a Lower East Side punk venue.
The first time I walked in there, I order a pizza, I sit down, and I order a drink, and we'll come back to this in a second. But the drink was already pre-batched for me in a little
Yeah.
flask-like bottle. I think it actually was the bee's knees. But then I get the pie, and it's presented with these scissors, and scissors just cutting the pie up right here. Where'd that come from?
I mean, it's fucking common sense. I got so much fucking shit for that, and now they fucking love it.
It does make sense.
Dude, first of all, you cut it in any size you want, right, to start. And then it's like, when you've just about, had enough and you're not going to do anymore. I actually watched someone do this at the bar yesterday that I was talking to. It was fantastic. You do that, you just snip a little sliver, right? And then you eat that, right? And then like 2 minutes later, you just snip a little sliver, right? Until the whole fucking thing is gone. But I think it's playful. It's kind of, it's a little, gets the customer a little bit more in touch with the kitchen in terms of being, hands-on, and I just make it's common sense. And some people have said to me, all right, you know what really inspired me? Fuck it. You ever see Cobra? Stallone.
Year, what is this, 80 something?
Yeah.
I don't think I have.
Come on, the dude walks
Give the
in with his
reference.
black sunglasses and in his black jacket, and he's like sort of this cop, and he's got this ratty apartment. He kind of walks in all straggly late at night, opens the refrigerator, takes out a box of pizza, sits down at his desk, opens the box, takes his scissors, and cuts the fucking pizza and starts eating it.
And that was it for you?
This is it.
That's it.
That's where this whole thing stems from.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, too, how about like hospitality, right? And on that side, maybe you have some older clientele that walk in, they want a slice of pizza, you present them the scissors. Are they like, guy, can you take this shit back to the kitchen and cut it for me?
No. Yes, in the beginning, yes.
And now
Now,
they're used to
no.
it.
People ask for them. People want them. It's fun. They get it. They're into it. They're very much into it.
So you make your own lane and you retrain the people to expect something else.
Yeah.
Which
Like
is
best case scenario.
which is important in restaurants in general. I mean, let's circle back to you here, Just. When you develop the delivery counter, so not the delivery, the pickup, the takeout counter, right?
Mm-hmm.
People were coming in to pick up their orders so often that it was kind of, I guess, just becoming not a nuisance, but in the way of the actual service, where you put this thing in the front of the restaurant where people could just come, pick up their stuff, be out just like that, no?
Are you referencing Mamaroneck or New Rochelle?
Mamaroneck.
Okay, yeah. Because New Rochelle was the pickup counter first.
Yeah.
And then we built the restaurant around it. But yeah, Mamaroneck was that way, where we had everything at the bar, but then eventually. the first idea was to have everybody walk through the whole restaurant.
all the
and
way,
see-
like the full length of the restaurant.
We wanted them to see the whole place,
Yeah.
so we want to make them walk all the way to the back. But then it just became inconvenient, so we put it in the front. And
But in restaurants, as you know, an owner or somebody that's looking to speed up the service, you do have to kind of retrain people into rethinking it and looking at things a little bit differently, where they weren't used to walking up and just getting their bag. All of a sudden, they were just like, "Oh, there's a normal practice now." Like, "Oh, I'm just gonna cut this scissor
Yeah.
pizza up real quick." Or, for instance, sitting down at your bar, getting the bee's knees in the flask, and I was like, "Huh, it's pre-batched." I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
And does that come down to kind of just speeding up the service for the bar, or?
I don't like to. All right, so it definitely does, and the taste the bar is small. It's like honestly like it's my favorite bar to hang out. I don't it's like I feel like I'm in like a really dive bar in Brooklyn, and I love being there, even during the day. But
like the graffiti
yeah,
steel in the back, it's nice.
but I think that what were you asking me? What was the question?
I was saying just retraining people and then sitting at the bar and getting the flask with the bee's knees.
Yeah,
and
so
like,
it's tight as shit back there. So like, I want to say that it was built because I don't want to say it was built. What I'm saying is it's good for it, but really, the idea behind it is that you as a chef, right, and me as a bartender, or vice versa, is that we're gonna collaborate and make this drink, and it's going to be the same every time because we put some love in it, and then you put in these cute little flasks, and then guess what? It's a little bit easier for the bartender and a lot of fun for the customer. So that's why we went that right.
How often are these flasks walking out the door? Are you ordering boxes of these things every
Yeah,
3
about
weeks?
that.
I feel like that can be a common
There's a
problem.
percentage that does leave the building. How much I really don't know, but it's not killing us.
And eventually that might become a tax that's put on to bills at the end of the
Yeah,
day,
yeah.
you know? But speaking of the tax too, you've instilled this 3% food only surcharge into, is it all of the restaurants?
Yeah.
Which is great. And we talked on that a little bit last week or the week before, and Just, you could pick up on this, I'm sure.
What part of it?
Oh, talking about the 3% surcharge, in which this goes back to the kitchen, and you were discussing that. You were
the
thinking
wage
about
gaps and
yes.
stuff like that. Oh, yeah. Well, we've always struggled with the idea of the kitchen being so important in the restaurant, because that's why people are coming. Like, we tell our servers, you can go out and get a rack of ribs or a cheeseburger or a pint of beer anywhere, but if you don't enjoy the experience, you're going to go somewhere else the next time. If the food is always good, though, that's what's going to bring people back as well. And there's that, we were talking about the wage gap in between, like front of house servers tend to get
More money than the people
more money
in the back.
than the back, and they're the ones that are kind of like the consistent product. So we're always trying to look for a way to even that out without breaking the bank. But
Well, Danny Meyer started it with the no
Yeah.
tipping, and that was how he was going to. Well, he's doing what he's doing. How much it's working for the rest of the people doing it, I don't think. I actually listened to an amazing podcast, Freakonomics, and there was a discussion on that, and it definitely didn't work out on a grand scale or change things, which is unfortunate because I think it's a really great idea. I can imagine accounting nightmare.
that's,
But-
the first thing I thought.
But yeah,
Think about it.
I don't think it works up here. I don't think it would work for us, and because we were looking into it, and but really, I spoke to a gentleman who I'm sure you all know, Bill Taibbi in Westport, who owns Jessup Hall and the Welk. He kind of started it in Connecticut, and I talked to him a lot about it in depth actually, and I knew we needed people in Westchester. He knew there needed to be people in Westchester doing this, and I said, this seems to be the answer. So this is something that we can do. Like, we're food focused and everyone can do it together. And I think, it adds a lot of incentive to the kitchen. It really gives them another reason to be there, but to also work harder and evolve themselves and to bring the restaurant together collectively as a group. Because it's not all about one person. It's not about the chef. It's about everyone. And if we can kind of like bridge that gap just a little bit, I think it would be awesome. And my wait staff, I know are so into it because we're a team, and they know what we put into it, and we all respect each other, and no one's really affected by it. We're all in it together, and you know, it bridges it just a little bit. It bridges it just a little bit, and it feels good for everybody.
You probably get people, especially to take a little more ownership in it, knowing that that's
Exactly.
the driving force.
Exactly.
Jay was worried that the wait staff would actually react adversely to it and be put off that would actually come out of their money in some way.
So I was going to say, now on the service side of things, and having 3 restaurants that are actively doing such, is there something that the servers are kind of prepared to tell a person that goes, what the hell is this 3% kitchen charge that I'm getting hit with here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's to let them know the story about how, you know, this is for our hardworking kitchen staff who breaks their ass every day. They don't say it just like that. This is for them. It's not a gratuity. It is basically an addition to your food portion only of the check, and super into it. That's basically what they roll with.
And to add to what Justin just said, on the West Coast, apparently there's showing up a lot more frequently in a lot more places, and through the forums, there's wait staff that are just complaining and saying this extra 3% is coming out of my 20% tip that I get at the end of the night.
Really?
But I mean, these are just gripes people have at the end of the day, right?
I mean, and listen, I've had people like not be into it, and for one thing, you know, it's only on the food portion of your bill, and if we actually fuck up, which we fuck up, you know, we take it off. It's like, if it's our mistake, it's our mistake, you know. But you know, I've had a few customers here and there at each of the restaurants who just don't understand it or don't get it, and you get that, oh, why don't you just pay them more? Well,
Let me explain to you.
yeah. Because the minimum wages are going up. There's a whole nother discussion, and labor laws are changing immensely, and it's really not in anyone's, at least a business owner's, favor. But you know, and prices of product consistently go up all the time, and there's only so much you can charge. That's just kind of like the whole bucket of like all that right there. Let's sum that up. But yeah, we've had people say, just pay your staff more, or just raise your prices. The math we've done shows that, like, for 3% on, you know, a $30 check or whatever it is, you would feel it a lot more if we raised the prices a lot more.
Yeah.
And I can't afford to do that. I don't want to do that. Like, that's not who we are. So it's hard to keep up with everything that's going on, working on very small margins, as we all know.
I mean, at some point with inflation, burger prices will just go to $20, and nobody will feel it anymore. But you can't be the first guy that starts paving the way to be like, yeah, we've got $20 burgers here. Come check this place out. So then
There's a $20 burger out there, I'm positive.
Oh, there certainly is.
Yeah, there is.
For sure. Sure. So you're pre-batching now, and a little bit at the Parlor here, and then we go into Eugene's 2019.
What was the sentence that Rock said you gave him? What was the?
You wanted that dessert case right in the middle for everybody to see.
No, he said there was a sentence. He said when we were talking about the design.
When you're talking to Rocco?
Yeah, when we were talking to Rocco.
By the way, I love Rocco. Rocco, if you're listening. No.
We actually grew up down the street from each other.
Did really?
Rocco and I.
Really?
Yeah, we've known each other for like 30 years.
Talking about what he said to describe.
Yeah, what he said
wanted,
it was like a badass something.
Yeah, a badass 70s diner, like in somebody's basement or something like that.
What do I say?
It was the rotisserie display with the cakes. No,
Let me think about that.
It was something along those lines. He was describing what you said to him to
Roadside diner meets 70s basement, or something like
something
that.
like that. Yeah. That's a cool concept. Like, why was that so important to you?
I think it's sort of okay. So first, we're designing another restaurant, and then I didn't know what to do with design. Had no clue. First initial in my head is sort of like a rustic what's that place? Johnny Rockets. Yeah, like sort of like retro-y, a little bit brighter, but like somehow tie in like, you know, brick and you know, some barnwood or something. And then I'm like, wait a second. This sucks. I think my wife said. My wife said this sucked too. Yeah, where are we going with this thing right now? This is just awful. And let's throw out the barnwood and the pipes and all that shit, and what do we do? And we started to think about, like, you know, where diners were really awesome and things were really fun, and sort of where the years we were born in. And kind of growing up with a lot of that in our homes and whatnot, of that decor in the 70s. And I'm like, yeah, let's roll with this. This is going to be fun. And you know what's even going to be better is that everyone's going to fucking hate it. They're going to fucking hate it. It's disgusting. It's so bad. Like, how many times have you seen that cheap fucking wood paneling and just want to rip it off? You know how many people are like, you want mine?
The rest of this interview with chef and owner David DiBari will be released midweek. Click the subscribe button on your listening platform to see it show up in your feed. Looking for past shows and extras? WaitingOnFriesPodcast.com is where we've got you covered.
Have either of you guys been a diner at a restaurant week?
So me and some of my coworkers went to Union Square Cafe yesterday, intending on getting the restaurant week deal. We all ended up not, and just ordering from the regular menu. But it was still a great lunch.
What about you, Jay?
I've been on the serving end of it. I've not really been on the going out to restaurant week. We have weird hours, right? Like, my off day, I want to lay on the couch and do laundry and get things done. We don't have time.
How are you not motivated to go out and try something new on your off day when you have a chance to do so at such a great price?
This is going to sound really weird to you, but when I go into the grocery store and I look at the sections of, like, what to eat, I go, all right, there's beef, there's chicken.
But we were talking about going out to a restaurant, not a grocery store.
I'm just like, I'm bored by food. I need a new genre.
And this is exactly why you go out during restaurant week, to try something new at a lower price point.
Yeah.
To have chicken with a different topping on it?
Exactly.
Done.
I mean, like, this is exactly why things like this exist. So people like you who are bored with food get to try something new.
I mean, we've been involved a couple times in the restaurant week in our area, and, you know, we've had some, like, mixed reviews on it.
But it's just a good chance to bring new people in.
So what do you think? What kind of people do you get at a restaurant week?
I think you get, like, a lot of different types of people. You get curious people who are curious about your food or your concept, who have never thought they maybe wanted to invest time or money into it. Now they have the chance to do so at a lower price point. You get people who have never heard about you but see you on a list among restaurants that they are familiar with, and they come into your door. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously you get people who are just looking for the best deal with the most cheap food they can get.
Right.
But I feel like that's probably a small percentage of the people that you get coming out.
It's like a weird thing for me to do, because most of the time when I'm going out to a restaurant, like, I will kind of avoid the busier times.
Right.
Because,
but that's, you know, lunch.
You know,
Thursday afternoon lunch. Yeah, is a good choice.
That's why the lunch definitely intrigued me.
Yeah.
But I try not to, like, frequent restaurants during busier times. One, because normally I'm working during busier times.
Normally
that's number one.
Times.
But also, like, I'm kind of not trying. I'm trying to avoid the mass crowds and kind of get in on the other days that are available.
Yeah. So you can really get the full experience without being interrupted by
and when it's so busy. Sometimes I feel like that actually takes away from your experience. Like, if you go to a Tuesday night dinner service
versus like a Friday or Saturday night,
you have a little more time.
Yep.
I don't feel as bad about hanging out at a table because they're not in as much of a rush to turn a table.
Exactly. You're probably not being pulled somewhere else.
Yeah. So if I want to have, like, an extra appetizer or an extra dessert or 2 extra drinks, I don't. You know, I have that compassion for the restaurant. Like, I have to get out of this table because they need to turn it. They need that. I had a few Saturday night. We talked about. I had a rare Saturday night off a couple weeks ago, and we went out to eat. And I was telling my wife and my brother-in-law, I was like, "Can we go a little later on in the night? Because I don't really want to show up at 7 and be
part of that hustle.
Yeah, and be part of the hustle." And they were looking at me saying, "Hey, why are you even here? You're supposed to be running your service."
Yep.
I'm fine eating dinner at 10 o'clock when they have the space. So, like, the restaurant week kind of,
You know, another factor that you know, I started to see, I think, in restaurants when at least Hudson Valley Restaurant Week kind of started was at first these plates were nice and large, and you'd get these coursed meals out. And then as time went on, the plates just kept on getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And I would imagine that this is for the restaurant to turn a profit on these lower end deals that they do to get people into the door, no?
I assume that might have something to do with it. You just don't want to be giving away food when you're selling it at a lower price point, maybe. But it's also maybe to help the kitchen expedite service. If you're not putting together such a large plate, you're giving out smaller portions, you're able to handle that volume because maybe this kitchen's not used to doing a coursed out meal like that.
What you mean to say is because, was it spoonware?
Spoonwork.
Spoonwork time involvement doesn't change no matter how big or small the plate is?
No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
Oh, I got
That's
you.
not what I'm saying.
Do you think that most people that come in during a restaurant week, they see the deal, they're intrigued by the deal, they say, okay, we're gonna go out on a night that we normally wouldn't go out, and they show up?
Yeah.
Like you said, you went to
USC, Union Square Cafe.
you went there and you were gonna get the deal, but then you ended up just ordering off the menu.
Yeah.
Which way do you think happens more? Because if it's the latter where you just end up working off the menu,
I think that's a good question. I'm not sure. I think it depends on what type of like eater or going out person you are. I think when all of us looked at the restaurant week menu and we saw there was just, not to say there weren't so many options, but it was quite limited compared to the regular menu. We all just started talking about it and decided that the regular options were a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, because that might actually be the advantage, just to intrigue people to get into the door.
Exactly. You already got them in the seat and they're going to spend money most likely anyway.
Yeah, maybe
show them this and then tease them with the regular menu.
What's the word that you guys like to call me that starts with a P every once in a while? Pretentious. Pretentious.
Particular.
So, I mean, to me, Restaurant Week 2 lets you go into a restaurant where you might not feel the most comfortable in, just to reiterate and bring that back. But simultaneously, once you're in that place and you're kind of getting a feel for the environment, you're sitting around, you're like, oh, I could hang out in this place that has a lot of spoon work going on. Cool. I'll come check this thing out again at regular price because the menu doesn't look that crazy, price-wise.
Do you think that something like that would turn into like regular guests afterwards, though? Or are those
people who come in and see the menu is less intimidating than they thought?
Yeah, like he just explained,
absolutely.
But they see the price point and they're coming out. Do those people then shift to like the next deal that they're looking for? Or do they, if they like their experience, do you see them again and again? Because when Groupon was a thing, which it pretty much died off and we don't really see it anymore, like Groupon diners were Groupon diners. And they went out
just
to
hop
eat.
from one Groupon to the next Groupon, and they wouldn't
next.
necessarily be repeat diners.
And the idea behind Groupon was like get them in the door and then turn them into your guests. But I think the success rate on that was like terrible.
Yeah.
Because you were getting one type of person.
And you were getting deal hunters.
I think it depends on the type of person. If you're like going out for the adventure of going out rather than going out looking for the best deal, you're more likely to get a repeat customer.
Is that a Netflix show, by the way? Deal Hunters?
It might be. Maybe.
If not, write it down. They'll make anything a show.
On the flip side, do people that already frequent the restaurant steer away during that week? Did you see like a total change?
Like so when we were talking about where to go, we were also talking about maybe going to Manhattan, but we were like, well, we've all mostly been there already. Let's go somewhere new. That's exactly what it was. Like, it was a nice price point to go eat at Manhattan, but we were like,
well, no, but I'm saying guests, right? So if you have a guest that's a regular in the restaurant, maybe it's a little different depending on the type of restaurant.
But you're saying maybe the guest stays away because they have options of going to somewhere else?
For instance, Hudson Valley is 2 weeks versus
So you're saying, are you going to lose a customer for 2 weeks?
Yeah, for 2 weeks is someone who's like, I don't know, this restaurant thing is going on, and there's all kinds of deal hunters in there, and they're pushing this and they're pushing that.
But shouldn't the offset be you're going to get all these new folks in the door?
Absolutely, as long as you could turn them.
Yeah.
Right. Well, what's our goal? Three visits,
times,
right?
yep.
3 visits.
And that then becomes a loyal customer?
Yeah.
Well, the statistics.
Hopefully it becomes a loyal customer.
Yeah, the statistics are that if you get someone in the door, the probability that they return, if it's their first time, the probability they return is something like 15% probability that they return for a second time. If they come back a second time, then their probability goes up to like 20%, somewhere in that range. But if you get them to come in the third visit, their probability jumps to like 80%. That you got them hooked and now they're a customer.
And we see this too a lot too, right? Maybe you see somebody from one of the neighboring restaurants or bars come into your location for the first time in a while. They start showing up, making it more of a routine, if you will. It's like if you drink one Red Bull, there's no such thing. You're like on a 3-week kick of drinking Red Bulls nonstop. There's something in it that just brings you back.
You either hate it and you're like, no, never again, or you're hooked. So like these guys. and
Sure,
just
but
can't
so
stop
you
drinking.
see these people come into the
Well,
bar.
for sure. It's like
and-
it's like when you go in the ocean, you put a toe in your water.
Yeah.
All right, it's not that bad. Second time, and now I'm cannonball right in there.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say that I'm hooked on Red Bull. I just enjoy Red Bulls. There's nothing
I
wrong
wasn't
with that.
shooting at anybody.
What's in that mug right there?
That's just water for right now.
But you'll see them come. You'll see them come sit at the bar for a while, like days after days over the course of a couple weeks, and then you don't see anybody for like 2 months. That same person that's been sitting in that seat, and they needed like a hard reset, and they went to somewhere else and they started a new routine.
Well, people have routines too. Yeah, is that what you're
yeah,
saying?
like they break into new routines, is what I'm saying.
I do that. I'll be hard on one thing for like a month and just be the same thing every single day, and then something will hit. I'm like, this is my new thing
Done with
for
this.
the next, and you won't see me. I used to go to this same deli every day and get the same sandwich, and I haven't been there in 2 years.
See, that's the thing that happens.
But I feel like there's probably a story behind that. There's probably a reason.
In that particular, I think so actually. Are you?
It wasn't just arbitrary that you just stopped going to get a
What
sandwich in
was
the
it?
morning.
I don't remember what it was.
Doesn't the person that made your sandwich, or the person that took your order, isn't there anymore?
Oh, that place. That's different. That's a different place. That was there was one girl that would always get my
Yeah.
order right,
Yeah.
and then she left, and it was always wrong. So I could tell on her they would answer the phone. I knew her voice. If she picked it up, I was like, all right, cool. And if anybody picked it up, else picked. Oh, never mind. I was like,
Never mind, I don't want anything today.
And then she left and went somewhere else, and I was like, oh man.
Can't go to this deli.
I can't go anymore. But the other deli, I think one time there was one deli that ran out of rolls at like 12 o'clock.
I think I remember you telling me
Yeah,
about this.
it was like noon and they ran out of rolls at 12 o'clock. It
was like, you guys aren't even trying. You guys aren't even trying.
Can I get a sandwich? Oh, we're out of rolls. I'm like, it's Friday. It's 12 o'clock. How are you out of rolls? You're a deli. Like
I think that you should have left a restaurant review.
a Yelp review.
You could have left a Yelp review.
Right about now, Waiting on Fries Court is in full effect. Judge J residing in the case of Waiting on Fries against the Yelp Reviewers of America. Prosecuting attorneys are Anu Bandel and Justin Zato. Order!
Here we go. We got Shelby from Texas.
Shelby.
Shelby from Texas. This place gets 2 from me. I had the chicken parm, way over portioned, bready tasting, dry and tough. They give you a steak knife. Lacked seasoning, pounded as flat as a flapjack, and the thing filled the entire dinner plate. Nothing else, no garnish, no presentation, just a half acre of flat dry bready chicken topped in totally bland mozzarella and tasteless tomato sauce. There was no garlic flavors, no oregano, no EVOO flavor, no inspiration on these plates. The Olive Garden beats this place complete. That's a review.
Wow.
I'm shook by this.
Well, the Olive Garden does have the unlimited salad bar, don't they?
That is one of their selling points.
That is. You know what? I skipped one line in it. There, she also says the pasta is not homemade. It was grocery store pasta, tiny portions.
How do you feel about
So
that?
I'm gonna go on record and say I know this place. Okay.
You ready to go to bat for them?
I'm ready to go back for them, and it's definitely not grocery store pasta. I see them making it.
I concur.
When I go in there at lunch, like they're literally making the pasta
Concur.
every day. So that's right off wrong. And then I'm just gonna chicken parm is like my guilty pleasure. I love guilt. I love guilt. I love chicken parm. I get it everywhere. They have the best chicken parm on the planet.
For real?
On the planet.
Wow.
And everything she complains about is wrong. Way over portioned. Like you got too much chicken parm.
That seems like a strange thing to complain about, for real.
They give you a steak knife. What? So you have a good utensil to like
people like using
eat
their
your
hands.
meal with. Lacked seasoning, pounded as flat as a flapjack. I don't know about you, but every time I've had chicken parm, it's supposed to be super thin
Yeah.
on the plate, and the fact that it takes up the whole plate is appropriate.
That means it's a
I
nice
want
big piece of chicken.
Nice big piece of chicken.
Shelby gets me tight automatically from this entire experience, from listening to this Yelp review. It's not fair. It's not fair that she has the power to type anything and hit submit into Yelp.
And this is just I don't even know where to go with this.
Now, item number 1.
It's just wrong.
The place does pasta classes. Item number 2, you go in at lunch and see them making pasta. Item number 3, you're complaining about a beautifully nice spread out piece of chicken.
Like a nice, thin, crispy chicken cutlet. That's what you want.
Yeah.
Listen, Shelby is from Texas. I think that explains it.
Don't shot Texas on this one.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Maybe it's not, but maybe they just don't have good chicken parm in Texas.
Let's just say maybe they have different chicken parm. in
Maybe
Texas.
they have different chicken parm.
Okay, and Olive Garden chicken parm thick. We don't even do Olive Garden in New York like that because we have restaurants.
I don't know. Yeah. All I know about Olive Garden is that they have breadsticks apparently, but I've never actually.
And a salad bar.
And a salad bar, but I've never. Is that like the Sizzler?
Man, remember Sizzler?
Remember Sizzler?
Oh,
They had
was
a
that
salad bar.
was that one of the ones that died in
That was the
2000?
the Red Lobster.
We
equivalent.
going Sizzler. We going Sizzler.
Yeah, those restaurants got Netflixed. They
Anyway,
weren't fast enough.
Shelby, thank you for your 2-star review for an awesome restaurant. You clearly have no idea what you're talking
Now
about.
go back in and edit it and put 5-star review there. All right.
Pax makes pasta. Hashtag Pax makes pasta. But I think it's about time that we check that voicemail, guys.
Oh, what do we got? Click the buttons, Nooms.
Hey, you've reached Waiting on Fries. Send us your voicemail.
You have one new message.
You guys ever deal with a restaurant not putting out your schedule in an acceptable time period? I think there needs to be laws about this. I can't even make an appointment because it takes my establishment so long to post the schedule. If it posts on Friday, all the offices are already closed all weekend, and I have to hope there's availability the next week. Thanks.
I think that's fair. You need to be able to plan your life and live your life outside of work. It's kind of rude to just, wait until the middle of the night on a Friday to post a schedule for Monday that's 2 days out. What are you supposed to do?
For sure. I don't know if we need to have laws about it, but you should, you can
should
take
be
it
a little
up,
considerate.
You can take it up with your employer and
Yeah.
say, "Hey, dude, can I find out when I'm working tomorrow?"
Have you changed the way you put up the schedule, or you still do it Facebook Excel sheet?
I put up the schedule on Monday for Friday. I post it in the restaurant, and I post it in a little private Facebook group so everybody can see it. So on Monday by noon, the restaurant is posted in 2 different places.
Yeah.
I mean, the schedule is posted in 2 different places. I want it up on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday on a weird week.